Am I the a-hole for not wanting to reconnect with my estranged children? Plus update. Original post. Okay, so to keep this as short as possible, I was married young and had 3 children with my ex-wife. When our oldest was 10, my ex had an affair, and we separated. We obviously didn't tell the kids why we were divorced, but the kids seemed to resent only me for it. In hindsight, keeping it from them was a mistake, but hindsight is 20/20 and it no longer matters. As they got older, my relationship with them got worse and worse, and by the time my youngest was 17, they had mostly stopped talking to me, other than to degrade me. I wanted to tell the kids at one point or another, but my ex threatened to make life very difficult for me and my mother if I did, and she was in a position where she really could have. After being ignored completely for about 2 years and ending up in the hospital due to an OD attempt, my boss, who was a friend long before he was my boss, offered me a position at a different location across the country. I was at my lowest. My kids hated me, and so I decided this may help me restart my life. It's been wonderful. I met my current wife 10 months after I moved here and now have 2 kids with her. She helped me pull out of severe depression and put me back together again. I firmly believe she saved my life. I haven't heard a peep from my kids for over a decade, and told my mother long ago, who they still saw until her passing, that I didn't want any more updates about them after my middle daughter got married, and it sent me into a spiral. So I have no idea what they're doing, if they're married, if they have kids, etc., and I don't want to. After so many years, I finally moved on from that life 100%. So the whole reason for this post is because I got a call from that area code and answered it before thinking. All I heard was, "Dad," before I panicked and said, "Sorry, you must have the wrong number," and hung up. They tried to call back, but I blocked the number after not answering. I'm positive it was one of my daughters. I don't know what they want and I don't care to find out either. I'm probably an a-hole, but I feel like I need an outside perspective. I'm kind of freaking out a little because I just want to be left alone. Now for the top comments before reading the update. I mean, it sounds that your ex just feed a lot of lies to them, so they thought that it was because you had an affair. But I guess they now know the truth, thus trying to reach out to you. Not the a-hole, and if I were you, I would try to talk to them and see what they wanted. So don't be afraid. Call them, talk to them, and tell them the truth. This is the way to move on. Email, then everything is in writing. You can take your time to digest and respond. Not the a-hole. If, and only if, OP wants to hear why they called, email is the best. If they want to apologize for how they treated him, they shouldn't expect his answer. Email is the best. If talking to them will bring strong flashbacks, email is the best. But he absolutely doesn't have to talk to them. When they were degrading him, when OP OD'd, all of them were adults. And any adults know that there are 2 sides of every story. They were victims of ex's lies, but they became bullies and abusers themselves. Driving someone to self-harm takes a lot of effort. He owes nothing to them. He owes to be a responsible parent and partner to his minor kids and his wife. And if letting them back into his life could cause a mental crisis again, it is just irresponsible to let it happen. If one or more of your kids wanted to apologize to you and establish a relationship, would you be open to it? Is there room for healing? If so, is there anyone who could be the go-between on your behalf and see what they wanted? Parental alienation is a form of brainwashing, so their behavior, which you never deserved, could have stemmed from that. Your children also didn't deserve this brainwashing. I fully understand why you would not want to open that door again. If one or more of your kids is seeing things more clearly now, the potential for healing could be huge. The choice is yours, and you are not the a-hole regardless of which choice you make. This is a great perspective. My mother-in-law brainwashed my husband and his sister against their father. They haven't talked to that man in 40 years. He wasn't a father of the year, but he wasn't a monster either. This happened to me with my older son. I miss him, but to him, I'm a monster. Your children are also old enough now to know the truth. Your ex-wife has done the maximum amount of damage that can possibly be done. What are you achieving by protecting her? Tell them and get it off your chest, then move on. They can decide if they want to believe you or not, and whether or not they want to be in your life. Keep in mind, the same manipulative cow that did this to you is the person raising your children. They probably have a better idea of who she is and what she is capable of than you might realize. By the time my youngest was 17, all of his kids were adults, or thereabouts. After years of abuse and hatred, he is happy. Leave him in peace. Now for the update. I called my uncle and found out it was my oldest daughter trying to get in touch. I've been reading as many comments as I can, but it's a lot. My therapist made an opening for me Monday and I've called my boss to take that day out. I'm just going to write down everything I can think of, and my therapist and wife are going to help with that. I think emails are the way to go for now. A big concern I have is my young kids. I don't want them to foster a relationship with someone who might pull the rug out from under them, but I'll discuss that Monday with my therapist. Honestly, that's really it for now. I've gained a lot of different perspectives and it's been helpful, but a bit overwhelming too. I guess I'll update later. But I feel this needs to be a very slow process and I still don't know why she's trying to contact me yet. I did unblock that number long enough to tell her I'll send an email address later, but just doing that was really hard. My wife actually typed it for me. Also, I noticed some people thought I was on drugs, but the only drug I ever took was that one time I tried to end it. And I didn't move until my youngest was 19 and oldest was 24, which was 2 years after our last communication of any kind. Hope that clears up any misunderstanding. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to reconcile with my stepdaughter? When I, 40 male, was 22, I met my late wife Lou, who was then 26. She was with her then partner of 10 years, Mark. She had a 7-year-old daughter, and I had fun sort of older uncle relationship with her. We'll call her Taylor. I also had a friend relationship with Taylor when Lou was with Mark. For context, I'm white. Lou was white, but Mark was black, so Taylor is mixed race. Over the next couple of years, Lou and Mark separated, but I remained friends with Lou, and in 2009, I got into a relationship with Lou after her and Mark already split. Even though Taylor was 11 at this point, I already knew her as a family friend, so we had a good relationship for a couple of years. Mark vanished off the scene and went to Jamaica for a bit. However, when she hit her teens, Mark came back into her life and Taylor started to hate me. As much as I tried to be patient and not push it too much, she hated me all the more. I tried to grin and bear it, but me and Lou struggled. No matter what I did, I was the a-hole stepdad. It seemed all the hatred came from Mark. But Lou persevered, as she said Taylor should have a relationship with her dad. However, when Taylor was 16, she stole some very valuable and sentimental coins I had. I'm a coin collector, and my late auntie left me some valuable coins. Taylor sold them, bought a phone with it. It was the final straw and Luke kicked her out to live with her dad. It was hard, but I understood. 3 years later, Taylor came back on the scene and was having trouble. She was pregnant. Mark kicked her out and Lou wanted to help her. As she did me dirty previously, I said I didn't want a part of it after Taylor screwed me over last time. As hard as it was, me and Lou split. So then 4 years later in 2021, I reconciled with Lou. And soon after, we found Lou had cancer. I looked after her for a couple of years, but 6 months ago, it was diagnosed as terminal. By this point, Lou and Taylor's relationship broke down previously, and they hadn't seen each other for a couple of years. But shortly before Lou died, they met and reconciled. Lou died in February. Before she died, we had a quiet wedding ceremony. Before she died, she said Taylor should be able to come to her funeral, so I honored that. The funeral was last week. As much as me and Taylor had this bad history, I didn't have the energy to be horrible. So I was polite to her, hugged her, and was polite. Didn't think much of it. But then a couple of days ago, I received a letter from Taylor, saying how much she loved seeing me and was sorry. That her dad is a horrible man and she saw his true colors. And that he manipulated her, and how I was a better dad to her and how she regrets what she did. She included her mobile number and said I should ring her and we should have a coffee so she could apologize in person. And that I should meet her kid. Initially, I chucked the letter away. All I seen her is that she robbed me valuable years with Lou. But when I told my mom, she uncharacteristically said I should meet Taylor and give her a chance. Admittedly, I don't have much feelings for Taylor and would struggle to see her at the moment. But then again, I'm not a good judge of character at the moment as I'm so down. Am I the a-hole for refusing to reconcile? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Sorry for what you're going through. It sounded difficult all the way through. As somewhat of a cynic myself, and given her seemingly poor attitude and life choices, I would bank on her wanting something from you and using the child as a tool for emotional blackmail to get it. If you do engage with her, have a clear exit plan if it appears she's trying to rope you into a sinking ship. hopping onto the top comment to point out that OP should not make any unnecessary major decisions for a while. Most things I've read recommended a year. The reason is that you're emotionally vulnerable for a long time, and it would be very easy to manipulate someone in that mindset. You have my deepest condolences. My sister just passed the 1-year anniversary of her husband's passing. She didn't think she'd get through it either. Hang in there and give yourself grace. Yeah, sounds like Bio Dad is a piece of work. And now her mom is gone, so Taylor is looking for support and/or a babysitter. But by my rough calculation, Taylor is 25 to 27 years old now. She's had years to try to make it up to OP and hasn't bothered. It's very telling she's only trying to make up now. Not the a-hole. She may want closure, but it sounds like you do not. Sounds like she wants you to pay for something. Ding ding ding. I'm guessing she'll use the child to dangle a living, breathing connection to Lou in his face, which she can have daily access to if she just lets them move in for the low price of free $99. Not the a-hole. Some doors are best left unopened. Taylor is very likely only coming to you because things didn't work out with her biological father, and she wants the benefits that fathers typically bring to daughters, like handyman services, money, etc. I have a truly awful cousin that is 46, and a single mother of a 7-year-old who has never met her father, and my cousin would be homeless if it wasn't for her parents. Even adult children lean heavily on parents, especially if they're selfish. If my 16-year-old stole something important to me and pawned it so they could buy a new phone, I would honestly disown them. I'm not pouring my heart, soul, money, and time into the upbringing of a kid just to have them be a degenerate criminal. I'll do whatever I can to get them out of my house, and that would be it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not forgiving my sister as she had an affair with my husband, even though I accepted my husband back? I, 33 female, married my husband Alex, 35 male, 8 years ago. About 5 years ago, my mom died sometime after my second child was born. I went into depression due to her death and postpartum. We stayed at my mom's house for about 6 months with my sister Sally, 28 female. During this time, Alex and Sally helped me a lot and got me out of that dark phase. Things eventually got better and we came back to our home. About 2 years ago, we had our anniversary and we decided to celebrate at home. Sally came too. However, towards the end of the party, I saw Alex and Sally arguing and then she abruptly left. When I asked him, he broke down and told me he had an affair with Sally. Basically, when I was in depression, he was so lonely and didn't know how to make things better. I became like a shell of a person and it felt helpless seeing me like that. Then Sally came and comforted him. They would share their feelings to each other and became each other's emotional support. This led to an emotional affair that turned physical after Sally kissed him. However, after Sally asked him to divorce me, he realized his mistake and freaked out and just ghosted her. After the party, Sally was angry for not leaving me and was accusing him of using her and throwing her away. He had a breakdown and kept on apologizing. I asked him to leave and that we would get a divorce. He left eventually and we were separated for quite some time. I confronted Sally and she started crying as well and wanted to explain, but I just cut the call and went no contact. However, during this time, my kids would cry for their dad and my oldest would constantly ask for him. Also, since I'm working, it's almost impossible for me to take care of them alone at the same time. Also, divorce seemed a bad idea financially. Most importantly, Alex is a great dad and I could not see my kids in pain, so I decided to not get divorced. In reality, I have not forgiven him and would leave after kids are grown up or if kids feel unhappy. For now, we are working efficiently as parents and kids are back to being normal and happy. A few days ago, Sally asked to meet through a mutual friend. Upon meeting, she said she was sorry and that she was getting married. She asked me to forget the past and be a family again. She even asked me to be the bridesmaid. I honestly laughed at her face and left. Now she is saying I'm being cruel since I accepted my husband but I'm punishing her, that I am her only family and I should leave things in the past. I honestly don't want anything to do with her because of how greatly she hurt me. I adored her growing up and she did that to me. But I don't know anymore, so am I the a-hole? Wait, they had an affair for 3 whole years? Woman, I don't understand how you could keep him around. Think about the example you are setting for your kids. Because even if they don't know yet, one day they will. Don't let them think forgiving an affair is acceptable ever. It sounded to me like they had a brief affair. He ghosted her, then they had a fight at a family event about the fact that he ghosted her, and that's how OP found out. I thought that too, but then I thought it would be super weird that his sister would bring it up years later at the anniversary party. So that got me thinking that it was a 3-year affair. Sister asked him to leave his wife, he ghosted her, and then she freaked out. Not the a-hole, but I still think you should have divorced your husband. You could have been co-parents in separate houses. That way the kids could still see their dad. Good dad doesn't translate to a good husband. Anyway, to each their own, you don't owe your sister anything. But to change one thing you said, that she did that to you at the end, is inaccurate. They both did that to you. Your husband is just as responsible as your sister is. Honestly, my parents divorced when I was 10 years old due to infidelity on my dad's part. And while there were tough times for my mom, brother, and I can confirm that all of us were so much happier that there wasn't tension in the household of pretending to like each other in front of us and forced conversations to make our home life seem normal. Agreed, staying together for the kids is rarely good for the kids. 100%. When my mother and former stepdad sat me down and explained that they were getting a divorce, I was so ridiculously relieved. They weren't awful, but there was always tension in the house, and even at the age 10, I could tell they were not happy together anymore. They co-parented my younger brother beautifully together, and he never abandoned me since he was the only dad I ever felt any love for. Real dad is a POS. They remained friends until my mom passed. As someone whose parents should have divorced but did not, I can confirm the tension is 100% palpable, and that OP's kids know exactly what is going on. Even though my siblings and I are all grown adults now, we still call it the Cold War. Edit: I have been very clear with my husband that I have not forgiven him. I might forgive him in the future, I might never. Right now, I don't know. However, I cannot take his right to be a dad as well, as we both love our kids a lot. I am not deceiving him nor giving him false hope. As for kids being unhappy, if at any point in future I feel they're unhappy or this arrangement is doing more harm than good, then we will choose the route to co-parent. For now, I have decided to wait till kids are grown up a bit so they're able to understand the situation. But for now, they're happy having both dad and mom around. Even if I could forgive my husband, I will divorce him in the future, as I cannot see him as my husband anymore. And to everyone asking if I'm sleeping with him in personal messages, no, I am not. Am I the a-hole for pointing out my dad's failure as a parent after he tried to critique mine? My wife and I didn't meet in the most conventional way. She was my late brother's wife. We had lost him when she was 5 months pregnant with her son, my nephew. She stayed close to the family and we all adored my nephew. I was more involved in his life and wanted to share as much of my brother with him as possible. My wife and I became each other's support through our grief, became very close friends. And, well, 7 years after, we realized we had feelings for each other. With my nephew's blessing, we began dating. Not everyone in my family was on board, but they did eventually. We've been together 9 years, married for 6, and have a 7-year-old daughter who my nephew, 16, loves more than anything. Biologically, we know they are both siblings/cousins, and that's something we didn't want to hide from her. Especially because we still talk about my brother, and he will always be my nephew's father no matter what. She's known from a young age, and it really hasn't been an issue. They still love each other and act like siblings. My dad's come back into picture recently. We haven't heard from him since my brother's funeral, but it's not like he was around much before that. He knows now that I've been married to my wife and we have a daughter together. But he got mad when he asked about if she knows, and I told him she's been told. That's not something we want to treat like a major secret after all. My dad started going off about how irresponsible that is, and she didn't need to know. Now for sure we've messed her up mentally. I just thought it was funny that he of all people thought he could lecture me on how to properly raise a child, given that he was barely around and left my mom to raise us. That's what I told him too, and he got even more mad. Pretty much said I don't have a right to insult him for things he did in the past, when he's just trying to point out a mistake we've made right now.
I don't know if that's really a valid argument, but now he's acting like I've insulted his entire existence just for trying to give me some guidance. Was I the a-hole for this? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole at all. He doesn't get to swoop in from his self-imposed exile and critique. Here's an unsolicited well done on handling the situation with the kids from a stranger on the internet too. It would be one thing if the dad wasn't being judgmental and was like, look, I screwed up years ago doing X and regret it. I don't want you to make the same mistake like I did and suffer. But being judgmental and condescending while trying to whitewash his own actions is hypocrisy. No surprise he got called out. Not the a-hole. You'd be far, far more likely to do damage to your daughter by hiding something like that. And she would inevitably find out at some point and realize her entire life had been built on a lie. It's an unusual circumstance, and she should absolutely know about it. Your dad is way off base, and he has absolutely zero right to lecture you about it when he hasn't even been a parent to you. Not the a-hole. I'm back, son, and I'm here to tell you what you're doing wrong. What a great way to repair a messed up relationship. At this rate, they'll be father and son in no time. Definitely not the a-hole. I think that you did a good job by telling her early, because at some point, some stupid people will tell her. Probably to be mean or something. With her knowing and growing up with it being normal, it won't hurt her. And to be honest, I do not think that it is something to be ashamed of at all. I mean, they are even more related than half-siblings, which I think is awesome in this context. The death of your brother really is tragic and sad. But with your daughter and you, your nephew has direct family which is a part of his dad as well. Your father was wrong. That was always the goal. We never want her to feel weird about it, or like we intentionally kept something dark from her, and it hasn't impacted their relationship as siblings at all. Thank you. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not helping my brother-in-law and my sister with their debt? I've owned many successful small businesses over the years, so I have a lot of experience in all kinds of retail at many levels to say the least. My sister and brother-in-law were thinking of starting their own, so they asked me for my help and advice. I spoke to them over the phone, going over the basics and links to some good websites to take a look at. After about a few weeks of speaking to them, they said they didn't want my help anymore. When I asked why they said that, they said they were told differently by an experienced accountant they knew from church. This so-called accountant was not only giving them bad advice, some of it was downright illegal. I told them this, and they said that I didn't know what I was talking about since he was a CPA, certified public accountant. I did a little digging on this guy, and he had no credentials whatsoever, and he had dropped out of community college after a year. I warned them not once, but twice that this guy was going to get them tossed in jail for tax fraud. My brother-in-law gave him fiduciary control so he could take care of financial responsibilities. Not even a year later, the guy took every liquid asset they could find and disappeared. He not only stole everything, he ran off with everything they had, got a few more company credit cards, maxed them out, got lines of credit with some parts companies, ordered parts and then sold them on the side for cash. Brother-in-law and sister's company blew up. They lost their house and almost went to jail. Not only that, they are in massive debt that I don't think they will ever be able to pay off. I feel horrible for their daughter, who most likely won't be going to her dream college because of all this. They are now asking family members for help, and they are so graciously giving them everything they can spare. Then they asked me, and apologized, then asked if they could have some help financially. I accepted the apology, but said no, stating that I warned them and they ignored me. They left, but not without begging and crying. So now I am being painted as the a-hole by family and friends. I want to state that I am not rich by any means, but I am doing really well financially. I've worked hard to where I've gotten today, and although I could have spared something, I didn't feel obligated to. Am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. They dug their own hole. What might be a nice gesture, though, is to put some money into a trust for your niece to help with college that parents can't touch. Not an a-hole. You warned them repeatedly. Could always create a college fund for their daughter if you felt so moved, so she doesn't suffer for their ineptitude. But that's not something you have to do. Not an a-hole. These two people are a waste of your money. You had already warned them. They'll just do something stupid again once they achieve financial freedom on your dime. Honestly, people this stupid deserve what they get. Do not waste your money on them. Sounds like they wanted to get rich quick and not have to do the hard work, and even gave over control to a loser. Not sure why. After multiple attempts to help them up front, you should bail them out now. If you want to help the niece, you can, but that's not necessary either. Not Day-Hall. Your sister and brother-in-law are grown adults who got themselves in this mess. If you were able, help your niece with some college expenses. Not Day-Hall. They ignored your advice and warnings multiple times and followed a snake oil salesman into get-rich-quick scheme. They were greedy and looking for cheats and shortcuts, and that made them easy marks for a charlatan. This is karma at its most recognizable. If you are concerned about the daughter, you could set up a college fund for her that the family can pay into but that her parents can't touch. But you don't really owe them anything. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to purchase a baby gift for my cousin's second baby shower? I, 26 female, found out that my cousin Beth, 35 female, is pregnant with her second child. I'm happy for her obviously, but she and I have never been close. I love to sew, and whenever I find out a family member or friend is expecting a baby, I make them a nice baby blanket for them. I feel like it is a nice personalized gift that you can't get anywhere else, and I always make sure to get soft, high-quality material to ensure it is both safe and comfortable. Everyone who received a blanket from me always praised the craftsmanship, and that their children still snuggle with it well into their childhood. I made a nice blue baby blanket with puppies on it for Beth's first child, and whenever I go to visit, he always was carrying it around. I also mentioned to anyone who was given a blanket to call me if they have concerns about it, such as bunching cotton or loose thread, so I can fix it up for them. I've never gotten any complaints, so I must be doing it correctly. Recently, I got an email from Beth reminding everyone about her upcoming baby shower. It is a drive-by due to the pandemic, and had added a gift registration for guests to sign off on. I looked through it and was amazed about how expensive everything was. I understand that baby supplies can be pricey, but the cheapest thing on the registration is a stuffed rabbit costing $25. There were a lot of other things I find personally silly and inappropriate to ask for from family, such as nip cream, new pajamas for Beth not a baby, maternity diapers, etc. As a university student, I can't afford these things, and figured a blanket I made would be a sweet gift. I texted my cousin and let her know that I could not really afford some of the items she asked for, but I would be more than happy to make a personalized baby blanket to match the nursery, woodland themed. I got a text back immediately from her saying that I had to pick something from the registry or purchase a gift card from Babies R Us with a minimum amount of $100. I asked if there was an issue with her son's blanket that would warrant her refusal of accepting my gift, and she stated that because it was homemade, it looked tacky, and it made her look cheap for not having a tag attached to it. Here's where I may be the a-hole. I responded that I, under no circumstances, will be applying to her gift registration, and now she could kiss the baby blanket goodbye. Beth became upset, stating that I was a cheapskate and was depriving her unborn baby of needed supplies. I pointed out that she still had plenty of toys, books, old clothes, strollers, etc. from her first child that she could still use. She went quiet for a few days, and then messaged me this morning saying she'll take the blanket. I am still pissed, so I told her no, and I will no longer be attending her shower. Now I have cousins and aunts flooding my phone with complaints on how I'm a bad person. My parents are on my side, however. So now I'm here, wanting to know if I am the a-hole. Am I? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. That's a baby shower you can skip without guilt. I don't know how many people who can drop $100 on a present. And it's a shower, not a VIP lounge. Heaven forbid she has a third child. The prices will be minimum $300. Rejecting a handmade gift is a jerk move anyway, especially since your older kid was using the blanket you made. Edit. This hits pretty close to home because I make crochet blankets as gifts. I let parents know that I would like the blankets to be used, that's what it meant for, and loved. So many of us, as adults, remember having a special blanket, stuffy, or toy that we carried around. It's even more special if it's a blankie that a relative lovingly made. I'm imagining cousin's second kid as an adult going through her childhood toys, holding up a $75 stuffed bunny that was too nice for her to play with, and rolling her eyes. Opie, your cousin is being very unkind, but would you consider making a blankie anyway and giving it to baby later on? You don't have to participate in her comically overblown baby shower social events of the season. Gag. That's obviously to get Instagram clout. One of the few things I remember from being in labor with my first child, long labor, ended in unplanned C-section, my memory of most of those days is foggy, is of my late, absolutely adored godmother standing in my hospital room, needing at sonic speed to make sure my daughter's lovely blanket was finished before she was born. That blanket was and is a treasure. Not an a-hole on many levels. Let's list the ways she's an a-hole. She insulted your first gift. She's having a second shower doll, especially if she has stuff from her first kid. It's not an actual shower, even a Zoom event. It's a gift grab. She reminded you to buy her something. Not RSVP, not to bring napkins or soda, not to give a Zoom link or directions. Her registry has no reasonable items. People who do that get bottles or puffy books from me with $10 max budget. She gave a minimum spending limit at all. That limit was ridiculous. She turned you down and then set her family on you. On the other hand, you offered a very thoughtful, customized, handmade gift of good quality and didn't call out at you for previous BS. Feel free to stop taking the high road at any time. Or just repeat when reply they send. She told me she didn't want a blanket because her first one was tacky and made her look cheap. I'm respecting her wishes. Anyone with any amount of sense knows how much more valuable of a gift a homemade blanket is than a store-bought one. You forgot one. She demanded a minimum of $100 from a university student. Not a day-haul. She's a choosy beggar who then doubled down and drilled a bunch of family as her flying monkeys. Ditch them all. For the last story, am I the a-hole for giving my daughter more attention than my sons? 3 years ago, my 40 female husband, 39 male at the time, died in a car crash. My daughter Kate, 10, was in the car with him. Luckily, Kate wasn't seriously injured, but she has severe anxiety and PTSD from the crash. Kate's PTSD relapsed, and she's having nightmares to the point where she wakes up screaming almost every night, has flashbacks at least once a day, and she's extremely attached to me. She's working with a therapist and is slowly getting better. She didn't wake up screaming last night, but she still needs a lot of attention. I used to make dinner with my oldest, 17 male, while Kate played in her room, but now she usually makes dinner with us, and when she's not, she's sitting at the kitchen table watching. I also used to watch a movie with my oldest and my middle son, 16 male, after Kate went to bed, but now our bedtime routine takes longer. I used to braid her hair and tuck her in, but now I braid her hair, tuck her in, and read to her until she falls asleep because it helps her calm down. And I don't have time to watch a full movie with them. Last night, Kate fell asleep pretty fast, so I had time to watch a movie with my sons. But when I asked them if they wanted to watch a movie, they told me to go back to Kate's room since I'd obviously rather be with her anyway. I tried to explain that she needs this right now, but they wouldn't hear it. Am I the a-hole for giving my daughter more attention? Edit. I'm realizing that I didn't make this clear in the post, but Kate hasn't been like this for 3 years. She's had anxiety and PTSD since the crash, but it's been manageable until around 2 weeks ago when her PTSD relapsed. I hate to say it, but you're the a-hole. You have 3 children. Yes, your daughter is going to need a lot of help right now, but so are your boys. They lost their father too. I suggest getting individual therapy for everyone, including you, and apologize to your sons for not being there for them. Everyone's already in individual therapy. Y'all clearly need group as well. This is so tough. Very, very, very soft, you're the a-hole. Yes, Kate probably needs you right now more than so than them, but they all lost their dad. They all need you. I don't see the harm in extending Kate's bedtime routine, but you need to find some way of making it up to the others. Maybe a day of just them. Or maybe find a TV show that's only 30 minutes you can watch at night with them if there's no time for a movie. You should also think about having family dinners again to keep that open communication. They lost their father too, and need you. I know Opie edited to say that Kate has only relapsed recently, but I think it would be good for Opie to seriously consider if her other kids were already getting the dregs of her attention. I think it would still be understandable, but I find it unlikely they reacted this way because of a reasonable 2-week shift in priorities. I think this might be above our pay grade, honestly. Really, this is the only answer. I don't understand people calling someone the a-hole when they lost their spouse and are trying to take care of 3 kids alone. They'd probably also call Opie the a-hole if she was ignoring her daughter to make her sons happy. It's a rough situation for everyone, and impossible for others to judge.
Update. My brother-in-law confessed feelings for me after I went wedding dress shopping with his fiancée. Original post. This just happened today. I'm pretty overwhelmed, so I'll start with some background. I've been with my husband for 5 years, and we've been married for 2. Since early on in our relationship, I've been great friends with his older brother, partially because I've always wanted a brother. When he started dating a girl about 2 years ago, I went out of my way to make sure she knew she had a friend in me if she wanted, since we're the only girls in the family. We're great friends now, and since they got engaged 3 months ago, I've been helping with wedding planning and was asked to be a bridesmaid. We went dress shopping today and had a blast. We went to brunch, had some mimosas, found a dress, and then went back to their house to celebrate. I ended up alone in the kitchen with my brother-in-law a bit after we got there, and he said he just had to tell me something before it kept eating at him. I was a little buzzed and confused, but was not at all expecting him to say what he did. I think I've had feelings for you for a few years, and I've never been able to tell you. I just needed to know if you ever felt the same. I completely froze and just shook my head. I told him that no, I've never thought about him in any way other than as a friend and a brother, and that I never would. Before he said anything else, I bolted back to his fiancée and the other girls there and very discreetly told her I got my period, wasn't feeling well, and would have someone come get me. I told her I'd come by soon for more wedding planning. She thought nothing of it, and I called my best friend to come get me. She dropped me off at home. My husband is working right now, and there is no question that I am going to tell him as soon as he gets home. But I just have no idea where to go from there. Do I tell his fiancée? Do I make him tell her? Do I leave it? Should I have my husband talk to him? Has anyone ever had something like this happen or have any advice? Anything is appreciated. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. 1 step at a time. You already plan to tell your husband. Your husband is your teammate, so decide together what to do. This is such a hard situation to be in. He put you in a weird place. You'd be betraying your brother-in-law's fiancée by not telling her. But if you do tell her, things in the family will get weird and divided. But that wouldn't be your fault. I'm mad he did this to you. What the heck did he think you were going to do? Leave his brother for him? Right before the wedding? I would reach out to the brother-in-law and chew him out. You're right, 1 step at a time. I think I'm trying to think 10 steps ahead because that's just who I am. And this is impossible to plan for because it's so messed up. My husband and I always say it's us against the problem. So of course I'll tell him immediately and we'll plan together. Talk to your husband first, because what if you tell her and he tries to flip it, saying you said those things? My comfort in this thought is that I believe my husband and I have a really strong and trusting relationship, and I don't think he would ever believe that. As soon as he gets home, I'll tell him. I'm just not going to do the whole "we need to talk about something when you get home" thing, because I know that would put a pit in his stomach, and I won't do that to him. Now for the first update. Thanks to everyone who helped calm my panicked mind after my original post. I didn't want to tell my husband we need to talk while he was still at work and make him panic. So having some reassurance from here was really helpful. I also noticed a lot of people asking for an update. So here it is, one that even I was shocked by as I lived it. It's not exactly the earth-shattering blow-up most people thought it would be. My husband came home and he immediately knew I had something on my mind. I explained the whole thing and he was livid at his brother. Thankfully, he gave me a hug and I broke down crying from distress. He assured me I did everything right and that it wasn't my fault. After that, he went to call his brother and tell him that he knew what happened and wanted to talk to him one-on-one. Well, it turns out that his brother and his fiancée were already on their way to our house to talk about it. As soon as the other girls left, not long after me, my brother-in-law confessed everything to his fiancée. First, she slapped him, deserved. But after, they talked and he promised her that his feelings for her were genuine. She told him he needed to apologize to me and his brother, and then they could go from there. So they came over. My brother-in-law and my husband went to talk privately while I talked with his fiancée. We both cried and talked for about an hour. I promised her I never had any feelings for him and had no idea he ever had feelings for me. Apparently, she had caught him gazing at me on a family vacation once and thought maybe he had some attraction to me. So while this sucked, she felt some relief that she wasn't crazy for thinking it. He admitted she was right and thinks his feelings at one point were rooted in jealousy that his younger brother was further in life than him, and he attributed that to me in some way. This was new to him as the older brother, and they hadn't compared themselves much growing up because they had vastly different paths. It was like comparing apples to oranges, but now there was some perceived competition on a similar playing field. The feelings had faded, but when she came home saying she found a dress, he felt an urge to come clean. He admitted he wished he had said it differently or worked through it with some help to understand what the feelings were before making this whole mess. I don't know about all that, but I guess I could understand it with a clear head. I mean, if the Oedipus complex can be a thing, then I can see him having some complex feelings that manifested as attraction, but didn't affect his love for his fiancée. This all happened in one night, and he was visibly distressed over it, so I'd find it hard to believe he could weave a whole story like that. I'm inclined to believe him. When my husband and his brother came back to the living room, my brother-in-law looked like a puppy who just got in trouble. He also looked a little roughed up, but I didn't question it. We all talked and he apologized to me for putting me in this position. Where it landed, their wedding is on hold privately while they figure out the next steps. Thankfully, nothing was booked, and no dates were sent out. We had gone wedding dress shopping just to get an idea, and it was just luck that she fell in love with the dress. They're going to couples therapy to decide if and how they can move past this. There is clear love between the two of them. Things will be tense, but I think he feels genuine remorse, and my potential sister-in-law says she holds no ill will against me. If they move forward, she'd still love to have me as a bridesmaid if I'm willing. My husband and his brother have some serious work to do on their relationship, and my friendship with my brother-in-law will never be the same again. But we'll see what happens from here. We also agreed to keep this between the four of us. They will be honest that they're doing some premarital counseling before setting dates or fully planning the wedding. I saw a lot of comments telling me to keep my mouth shut since no harm was done. While I guess I can see your point, I just couldn't imagine keeping something like this from my husband, especially if it came out later and he found out I withheld it. Trust is huge in our partnership, and even just omission feels like a betrayal of that. Sure, I knew this could blow up if I let it out, but that would be my brother-in-law's fault, not mine. He had all the control over telling me what he did. Thanks to everyone who helped me through that scary processing time alone. His explanation doesn't make sense to me. I'd understand him coming clean to his fiancée about having a harmless crush on his sister-in-law that faded with time, just to not keep anything from her. But him speaking to you first and asking if you reciprocate the feelings sounds like he was shooting his shot once and for all, but it didn't work out in his favor, so he changed the narrative. Because what else was he possibly trying to achieve? If the feelings he has for you are misguided jealousy that faded, wouldn't it be better if he said nothing at all to avoid straining his relationship with his brother? I just can't make sense of it. I can't believe that after confessing to you and his fiancée catching him checking you out privately, she's still willing to work it out with him. Well, that's on them to figure out, and I hope they do either way. Well, sounds like things have been addressed as best they can. Wedding is postponed. There have been throughout talks about his feelings for you. Your brother-in-law and future sister-in-law will attend couples therapy. Might be worth going to couples therapy with your husband or individual therapy too if you feel you need it. I would suggest not being a bridesmaid in the wedding if it does happen. Best to keep this at arm's length, even if your future sister-in-law is understanding and supportive as you mentioned. Best of luck. It's difficult to navigate interpersonal conflicts like this, but it seems to be well managed so far. Thanks. My husband and I actually have a couple appointments a year with a couples therapist. We call it our maintenance check. This will likely come up, but I'm not terribly concerned about it from our relationship's point of view. Second update. I wanted to address a couple of common responses I've been seeing here and give another next day update. To everyone telling me not to tell anyone or to give him a mulligan, that was never an option for me. My husband and I are a team, and we don't keep secrets, only surprises. It's something we agreed on before getting married. If I didn't tell him and it came out later, it would be as good as me lying to his face. I did nothing wrong, and I know my husband would stand by me, so that just wasn't an option I was willing to consider. To all the claims that I'd be blowing up multiple families, I'm not the one who confessed feelings. He opened his can of worms, and it's not my responsibility to keep this secret. If this does blow up his relationship or his family, that's on him, not me. There were a lot of other common themes here, but those two were very prevalent, and I wanted to address them. For this small update, my husband actually called his brother today and asked if he wanted to go to one of their favorite bars to watch the game together. This is something pretty common for them, or for all of us, to do before all this. My brother-in-law was shocked but agreed. Shortly after, his fiancée called me and asked if she could come over while they were gone. She was honest and said it might be awkward, but we used to do this a lot, either doing some DIY projects together, working on a puzzle, or watching movies. She wanted to see if I'd be open to keeping this up as long as we were both comfortable while they work through their issues so our relationship doesn't deteriorate. It meant the world to me, and I said of course. All four of us agreed that they, brother-in-law and fiancé, would start seeing a couples therapist as soon as possible, and my brother-in-law would see one on his own. Until they get a better grasp of what his feelings were/are and their own plan, we won't all get together, and my brother-in-law and I will not be alone together. My potential sister-in-law is one of the most level-headed and kind-hearted people I've ever met. My brother-in-law used to have a lot of walls up that she naturally broke down, and this behavior is so out of character for him. His proposal to her was so well-planned and thoughtful, tailored to her down to the smallest detail. He picked her a new outfit, had a perfect ring, even made sure the blanket at the setting was her favorite color, a detail he planned intentionally, and he arranged to have her parents there, even though they live hours away. It's clear that he loves her. I truly don't think that even if I had said yes, he would have left her to be with me. Not that it would have ever been an option. I truly see a road forward for them and all of us. We're all committed to finding the best outcome for everyone involved. My marriage is solid, and we have our marriage maintenance couples therapy appointment coming up soon anyway, so we'll check in with an outside opinion. But I'm not worried. They're going to a consultation with a therapist from the same practice in just a couple of days. It obviously won't be a quick or smooth fix, as this was messed up, but I'm much more optimistic than many comments here, and I wanted to share. Girl, I think you're such a great person. I wish I had someone like you in my life. You and your husband being a team against all problems is relationship goals at its finest. You being so honest about this and managing through all this mess gives me the impression that you're a top-tier communicator. I wasn't always, but I've put in a lot of work, and so has my husband. It was actually part of our vows to always evolve together and communicate. It's a learned skill for sure, but the right partner makes it easier too. Future sister-in-law is pathetic for staying with that man. All I'm gonna say. I don't think it's pathetic to give something, even a messed up situation, a little extra time to decide whether to move forward. The way she's looking at it is that she can leave, and nobody would blame her, and she wouldn't blame herself. But she loves him, and for her own peace of mind, she wants to take a beat to more deeply understand the situation before deciding to stay or leave. She was planning a future with him, and if she just leaves immediately, she'll have a lot of inner turmoil to work through, and a lot of what-ifs. If she takes a few therapy sessions and decides to leave, she'll feel more confident in her decision. That's her choice to make. You may think it's pathetic, but it's what she decided was best for her. The story is kind of anticlimactic. Couldn't you add in a tiger or a sword fight? Here's a little more of a climax. Turns out, she had a physical attraction/little crush on a coworker at one point, about 8 months into their relationship. That's why she has a little more sympathy and is willing to try to work on it. She said it can happen without changing the fact that she loves him. Maybe the coworker was a spy or something to add drama? Kidding, but there was that slight development. Last story. My sister ruined my party. My sister is 30 and makes one bad decision after another. She dropped out of high school, got pregnant at 22 with a guy who was freshly out of jail, and posts on social media as a bear mama. But in reality, our mother is raising her child. She couldn't, or wouldn't, get a normal job, and did video chatting for a few years. I am 27 and I recently celebrated my birthday. She has this tendency to ruin everything. She was invited to the family dinner, and during that dinner, 2 days ago, she texted 2 people who were there, claiming she had slept with our neighbor's husband. She added that he was bad in bed and called his wife annoying, saying she planned to tell her. I very much doubt the neighbor slept with her. He is a very decent guy. I don't want to be mean, but my sister is overweight, posts on social media with her breasts almost entirely visible, and wears vulgar makeup. Regardless, she chose to make this claim right before my party, so everyone was talking about it instead of celebrating. Last year, she pulled a similar stunt. I got a promotion at work and she came home crying, claiming she was SA'd by her superior at work. I don't know if it's true, but the guy is 70 and was indeed flirty with her, grossly so in my opinion. I couldn't understand why she entertained him. When I told her to take care and stay away from him, she called me a prude. 6 months ago, my mother and I helped her find a place to stay. She moved to another city for work, and what did we hear? She tried to seduce her roommate's boyfriend, but the guy rejected her. I've distanced myself from her, but I'm close to my mother who loves her. Well, because she's her daughter, and that's normal, I guess. I also love my niece. My sister, however, cannot integrate into society. She's very conflictual, always aggressive, and every time something good happens in my life, she comes up with some super drama that has just happened to her. Either she's been SA'd or she slept with someone's man, though there's no proof for either. Go out to a restaurant with some friends to celebrate. Don't tell your mother or sister your plans. Leaving them out of the equation solves your problem entirely. And don't tell them about the next good thing you'd normally celebrate. Just go have a good time with friends. Stop sharing your personal info with them at all. I will stop doing it, but I really do wonder, what were the chances that she didn't get triggered? When our cousin posted a very beautiful picture on social media wearing a nice long dress, 5 minutes after watching her story, my sister said out of nowhere how she slept with a man who was having his wedding the next day. I was like, what? I don't understand why you let the stupidity get to you. The statements are so ridiculous and outlandish, I wouldn't even care. I would literally get to the point where I don't even hear it anymore. She's not actively trying to ruin your life. Stop letting these stupid statements bother you.